It's just such a joy to see you all talking with each other. That's the whole idea. So sorry to stop you, but it gives me great pleasure to see you have come back for day 2. Thank you for doing that. A busy period we are all having at the moment, and some interesting commentary overnight about the visit yesterday from Minister Bishop. We still seem to be playing out this dialogue between the market will deliver and what has been some quite steep decline in residential construction activity for 24 months now, John? Or yeah, so John's going to address housing construction system perspective and just bring you up to speed with what's actually playing out within the residential construction industry across New Zealand. But before that, it gives me really great pleasure to introduce Damon Salesa. This is his university. He's the Vice-Chancellor here, and real pleasure being in your place. Thank you so much for hosting us. We're having a great conference. We're really activating particularly our whanaungatanga, which was the big objective of the way we've structured the conference. And so, Professor Damon Salesa, thank you very much for having us, and I'll pass over to you.
Nau mai hei, haere mai ki tēnei hui. Nau mai haere mai ki te wānanga orono e tamaki makaurau. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. It is such a pleasure to welcome you here to AUT. Many of you for the first time, but many of you who are part of our whānau of students, alumni and partners. And so it is very appropriate that we're with you as a partner today, and it's a pleasure for me to be one of the sponsors of the conference. I really just wanted to share 3 things after I acknowledge the many VIPs within the room, especially our partners at our iwi partners, Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei, but across the motu. The 3 things I really wanted to share, the first is around partnership. I was inspired with some of the conversations I had with some of you yesterday about the centrality of partnership to cha. And universities themselves are entering a period where partnership matters more than it ever has. And for AUT, which sees itself as being a university which has partnership in its DNA, this is now one of the 3 pillars of us as a university, partnership. If we're undertaking teaching and learning or research that doesn't matter to our stakeholders or our partners, then we are not in the right space. And many of your groups would be one of those sets of partners we speak to. I know that your theme, growing together, sharing knowledge, aligns perfectly with the 3rd pillar of our strategy, which is partnerships to accelerate impact. And I know that today, yesterday and tomorrow, we are living, breathing exercise in partnership. I know also that partnership is hard, that it is very difficult to bring people, different organizations, different financial models, different priorities together, and to keep them together to make enough of a difference for our communities. So I know that in conversations that you'll begin today, we will see enduring relationships and that they will be challenging. In Samoa they say, ua iaso uma, uso iaso vale. And on good days we are friends, and on bad days we are family. And I think this is a really essential feature of what it means to be a partner. And I know that one of the struggles we face as New Zealand's most innovative and disruptive university is to find authentic partners, partners whose values align with us, partners who can truly be in it for the long haul. And I know that that is the same question that you face. So good luck. I think we all need it. But better still, good values, good relationships. I was also inspired and I've often inspired by the community housing initiatives I know in South Auckland, by the difference they make beyond what they immediately see. And I guess for me, being within a university which is about the future, universities and education is our future industry. We are building the future, we are building future capability, we're building the people who will be here after we've gone. I know that that is in alignment with your sector. And so it is a critical thing to check in with how the community housing partnership is going, particularly because, and watch out, here comes the AUT advertorial, we are New Zealand's most diverse university. We're the most diverse in terms of ethnicity, which people often talk about. But beyond that, in many deep ways, there's a diversity that's often unstated in New Zealand education. We are New Zealand's only truly diverse socio-economic university. That is, a third of our students come from the third most deprived homes and schools in New Zealand. And I can tell you that is very different to most of New Zealand's universities. And when you're a university, and I describe, because I celebrate that we're the university for those students, I call us a university of opportunity. And when you're a university of opportunity, you know that education matters more for those students than it does for others. University will be the social mobility driver, the access to a better home, a more secure home, and a future that they would not otherwise have. And my mantra at AUT, which people often tire of, is that talent is everywhere, but opportunity isn't. And that AUT should be a place where talent can find opportunity. And as we are on that journey as a university of opportunity, the challenge for us as a university is that the main reason our students depart education and receive or experience not good academic outcomes are not academic in nature. They come from their other drivers in their life. Half of our students work, right? We have 50% of our students are not school leavers. So those drivers that sit at the heart of what you think about sit at the heart of education as well. And so I think when I think through the financial hardships that our students face, it is typically a very short line to draw, sometimes a little curvy and slightly longer line between housing insecurity and unaffordability and educational outcomes. Sometimes it goes through health as well. Often it goes through personal and whānau instability. But the work you do is so proximate to the work we lean into at AUT. And I think that alignment is so powerful. And in New Zealand, we do not talk about the way we have produced an education system, which is world class. And we're proud to be one of the highest ranked universities in the world. But when it comes to equity, is actually one of the least equitable education systems in the world. And the income of your parents is almost the number one best predictor of how you will fare in our education system. Which is why, sorry, I'll stop on this one, which is why education zones have become a peculiar fetish for New Zealand. How can we believe that all education is equitable and then pay an extra $100,000 on that side of the street versus this side? So the last thing, the third of my three things I wanted to just speak to was something that Paul and I were talking about last night, and that is to acknowledge the temperature of our world. Many of you will know that many in the social sector, many in the public sector are facing a uniquely challenging funding or financial environment. How do we progress in an age of scarcity and challenge? And I can tell you that's something that universities, a university our size, 27,000 students, 4,000 staff, still facing that same question. And I really, listening yesterday to Peter and Paul, who I actually went to high school with, thinking about that, how we are leaning into it. And the first place is we put our vision and values first. Why are we here? Build that robustness so we're not shaping an organisation or a future that is based on a very momentary challenge. We want to build the organisation we want to pass on to our mokopuna and to our future. Often the present is the enemy of the middle term and the long term. The other bit, which I've heard so much about just in a few brief conversations, is the question of innovation. Although innovation is often seen as a high-tech, high-capital activity, actually innovation has happened, especially in New Zealand, in the social sector, amongst iwi, amongst those who have to do more with less. And that has been universities, where we're world ranked and we are given less money to do so. And I know it's happened in your sector when I listen to the partnerships that have been forged. I think the other is to find those authentic partners and the ability to have people who you actually want to be alongside in 10 years' time. People who share your deeper vision, your same values. I often use the metaphor of an alia, or it's a double-hulled voyaging canoe. And if the people on the canoe are people who are going to start moaning when it gets stormy, are going to want to consume more than their fair share of resource, that won't follow the community's leadership, then you'll find the mission doesn't arrive where it was supposed to. And I think for us, it is about finding the people that share that same social and economic mission, that you have those deep connections, you have those deep alignments. And I guess what excites me most about this sector, and makes me think this is an authentic partnership for a knowledge institution like a university, is that universities to me are long-term institutions. We're not about next year, we're not about the year after, but at the same time as we're looking out 100 years, and AUT has been delivering education for Auckland's working people for 100 years, we look like Auckland's future, we will be New Zealand's future. At the same time as we're a long-term institution, we know that right now, today, we have students who need that education. And so balancing the urgencies of today against that long-term vision, which I know sits at the heart of our community housing sector, is both the weight we carry and the mission that excites us. So very happy to have you here. Very grateful for the work you do as a sector and as individual organisations. Ngā mihi nui. Whawhatake.